Ziemlich schwierig. Tasche lasse ich auch hier liegen.
Okay, here I am again, I on air. This time, the second time with guests on board. It's a real pleasure, and I want to have some introductory words why we do this. It's called the Melodies of Discourses, and I call it that way because I think what is very much needed nowadays is that we exchange ideas, that we discuss, but that we are not dividing things into, there is no right and wrong. There are only views and perspectives. And this is my big wish, that we succeed to get into a kind of a consistent exchange with guests, talking about various topics. I don't mind what it is. It doesn't have to be necessary vaccination and Corona all the time. So I am happy to welcome my dear, I call her friend Winnie, because we know each other for so long, and it's the first time that we talk with each other. I mean that we hear our voices, you know. So I think this is enough when it comes to my person. I want to switch now to Winnie. Her name is Eugenia Procoroba. She's Italian, but she's not living in Italy. And I would ask her now to give an introduction in a way how she would characterize herself and what she wants that others perceive when they look at her and don't know her. Just whatever you like, focus. It's up to you to choose your story.
That's a very complicated question, actually, Susan. So, yeah, my name is Winnie. I think we have known each other now for almost, I think it was 2007, 2008 when we first got in contact. And since then, I've been a big fan of BIESTMILCH, not just as a product, but as a philosophy of life. So I think that the spirits of yourself and your entrepreneur and my spirit touch it in a way or another. And then also through Edith, through other athletes, we kept on going, and despite the distance, we have been very close. So about myself, I'm a mom of two. I'm an engineer, and well, I'm a sort of an endurance athlete. I'm not a professional, far from, but I really like to.
But you are an elite athlete. You are on the high end of amateurs.
I think that yeah, with age, if you take care of age and in terms of age group, then okay. But age is coming, and that's one of the things I would like to talk to you about that, and how can we, you know, get along with it and actually make it a positive experience rather than the negative and somber. I'm gold.
Are you confronted with this topic of age a lot of times? Is it bothering you, or are others bothered by it in your environment?
So it's not bothering. I don't think it's bothering other, but I am bothered. Like, do I have to accept that my performance are gonna decline? And I'm a bit competitive. Well, in the family, they would say that I'm a lot competitive. So it's hard for me to let go and accept that now it's maybe longer rather than faster. How can I also change and change in a balanced way to accommodate what happens with age, but still keeping the pleasure high? So
how do you summarize? What are the signs that tell you I am not that young anymore?
So I think that one of the signs is that I need a bit more of recovery. I have had, for instance, a very, very hard session.
May I just shortly interrupt? So your sports career, when did it start?
So I've always been an athlete, but I started being more of a serious athlete actually after my 2 kids. So when I was really young, I was a serious athlete. I was doing orienteering. You might know about it because it's very popular in Austria. And I was doing that at a high level, like national team kind of things.
This was already when you have in Italy. Which area are you from?
I'm from Milan, and so I've been living very close to the mountains all the time. My grandparents were living really in the mountains, so for me, every time was fantastic to just have some days off from school and escape towards the mountains to my grandparents. It's one of the most fond memories that I have. This wandering completely free with no trouble, etc.
Very similar to my story, because I also grew up close by the mountains, and skiing was. My father wanted to push me into competitive skiing. But I'm not like this competitive. I'm too nervous for this. So, but when did you move then to the Netherlands?
I moved to the Netherlands for work because I told you I'm an engineer. And I miss the mountains enormously. Also because I live in an area in the Netherlands close to the harbor of Rotterdam. So everything is pan flat. So the bridge over a lake.
I remember I have been in Utrecht, and I think there is one little hill like this.
Utrecht is considered here to be, oh wow, we go and we do some climbing. We go to Utrecht.
Exactly.
So it's very flat and it's very windy and it's very rainy. And I'm a very petite person, so I'm very thin and very little. So for me, the flat and the wind are not my best friends. But on the other hand, there are a lot of psychopaths. So it is possible to cycle very safe. And that's nice. And there are beautiful places as well. You just don't have the mountains. So what I do is that I try to go back as much as possible. And now with these grants, I climb actually from my shed. So I have my bike on a trainer. And then I climb from my shed and I can bring myself everywhere in the world and climb a lot.
And you have it in your head.
It's virtual. With a bit of fantasy,
Yeah, of course. I mean, one can envision a lot, and like this, you can make things possible that are not real.
Exactly.
So my uncle always said it's the mind, it's the freedom of the mind. So now we get back to age. What is age? I have to be impolite
No,
Which year are you born?
75.
75. Mm-hmm.
So I'm 46, going for 47.
47. So, I mean, I think there are certain periods in life where you think you have to get over it. I never thought about it. Sometimes now, but I think it doesn't matter actually. You know, if you live a lifestyle like you do, and that we are not in a competitive situation anymore to win races or sprint distances like this. But I realized that due to all my accidents I had and to all the training I had to do, that I am far fitter now than I have been 10 years ago.
Which is great.
So this is possible. And I think change is possible. And I think age is nothing to worry about. If I wrote in my book, I wish to die of old age, healthy, instead of a chronic illness. And
absolutely agree 100% with that. Yes.
And
yes.
This world we are in with BIESTMILCH is a lot about this.
Yeah, and that is something that is, I think, getting more and more important. What I see is that with respect to a while ago, the culture of working to the extreme is even more permanent now than it was maybe 10, 15 years ago. The risk that we have seen with COVID and working from home, makes that, your day starts, goes and continue, always working. And the amount of stress that we are putting on ourselves because of all of the difficult situation economically that there are, whereby companies are reducing the personnel. They are not reducing the activities, means that there is a lot of stress. And if we don't recognize the fact that stress is building, and we take care of that, we get into the point where, as with materials, as with nature, things break up. And I am a strong believer that is very detrimental in aging. So it would increase the aging process much more than if I can find a balance, which is something, we discuss a lot in the BIESTMILCH area about that balance. And it's a balance of spirit, it's a balance of mental health, it's a balance of physical health, it's an overall, balance where stress doesn't have to go away, but it has to be balanced.
It has to be balanced, and you have to know how to control it, that you don't go through the roof. I mean, this is probably the least factor in life we can control, because it's a lot determined by our environment and our work. And I mean, there is also this stress of being overactive, and there is this stress of boredom. There are these both.
I've never thought about that. That's fantastic. That's
because people have a burnout. They have a burn, and because of boredom. And many have a burnout because of boredom and not because of stress. And I think to have this self-awareness, how to balance yourself, is a tricky thing. Did this make you connect, this mindset you have, made it connect you with BIESTMILCH and the BIESTMILCH world? Because here it's all about this stress and balance and regulation.
Absolutely. And I have to say that indeed it helped me in the years a lot. So referring to your on air of last time, when you were talking about vaccines and you were talking about the immunity and how it builds up, that, some approaches might not work if you are.
In the beginning, I thought, I don't need it. This was around 2000 when I was still like, age was not a question at all. So I thought, it's not for me, it's only for others. But then I realized during my runs, especially trail runs, that it made a difference, that there is something. And I think I take in 2000, mid of 2000s, I had this episode where I stopped and I realized that it makes a difference when I don't take it anymore. And since then, it's an integral part of my life. And I think I couldn't have managed all the stress during all these years and the injuries and all the things I recovered from if I hadn't this. Besides that, I now changed my diet to keto.
Okay.
And since
I'm interested about knowing about that as well, because I went mostly the other way. So
okay. Yeah, it's for me. It's not a political. I just don't need carbs anymore.
Okay,
I don't have the urge to eat it. I don't eat sweets. I was never a person eating a lot of sweets anyway, but it's completely gone. And I can stay the whole day without food, and I don't feel any flat periods, not at all.
Okay.
I have a booster in between, but it's and the experience shows that the problems of insulin resistance, the diabetes problems we have, all the chronic illnesses have a lot to do with our way of eating.
Diet.
Our diet,
I got to the point of being asthmatic and a lot of rashes, etc. So at the end of a long route, they said, it's high insulin intolerance. And here is your diet for high insulin intolerance. Forget about strawberry, tomatoes, spinach, oranges. I mean, the list of what you don't eat is like this. The list of what you eat is like this. But I went for a year. And at the end of that year, I was doing the Icon, which is an extreme triathlon in the Alps. So I didn't want to change anything in between because of the race. But after the race, I said, I don't have any pleasure anymore in eating, which for an Italian is disastrous. I mean, eating is so much part of our culture, and there is a lot of pleasure around it in the whole, tradition around it. And so I did a bit of research on histamines, this and that. And one of the paper I came across was a lot about, it could be started because of the meat that is not grown biologically, and now there is an overgrown of cattle because of the amount of people that eat meat every day. And I was following your path into it, but I don't know if it's really a good combination with.
You know what? Because I'm not like thinking about it anymore. I just know that if I go into a restaurant or eat where they just where sugar is often used in sauces and different. I am not like it wouldn't come into my mind anymore to eat bread. I don't need anything. I just eat what I want to eat, and this is very little because I think the advantage is if you are in ketosis, you need so little. You are not depending on food anymore. No cravings anymore. Like before, I have to eat something. I'm so hungry. I need absolutely whatsoever. So I don't even talk about keto anymore. I just live the way I live. And it's more about also having enough fat intake.
Yeah.
Not so much about eating meat every day. I mean, you can eat all kind of greenery, and I don't eat too much starchy things but chicken peas but I think the amount as such decreased. And I will say less is more. This is my principle. and I think with age, this plays an important role to be in balance.
Yeah.
But I think this is a real long, I think we should have a special talk about this because it has to do with inflammation, and glucose is heating up. It's oxidation.
Yeah. It's very oxidative. Yeah.
And this is what makes oxidative stress. And oxidative stress and the buffers in the body are overloaded and they cannot manage the work anymore. Yeah. So we burn ourselves to death.
Yes.
This is what happens with many people.
What happens. Yes, absolutely.
And it's such a simple logic. It's the basic biology, and I don't understand why people don't understand this, because it's like fire. You can have very unproductive fire, a flame like this, and then it's gone. Yes. And you have, the result is a short bout of heat, and then that's it. This is a little bit like you were talking about meat, quality meat. This is a slow burner. But if you have cheap meat that is watery and full of adrenaline because you slaughter the animals in a way that is, one doesn't want to imagine it at all. But if you have this solid, if you have the chance to get solid quality food, then these are slow burners. And they are effective, and they keep us in balance. And they modulate the inflammation in our body that is there all the time. It is controlled, and the stress system, the biological stress system, is able to balance and keep the balance and keep us well and fit. And I think
what are the specific signs that you look for saying it is balanced, it is not balanced?
You know what? The first thing is my mood.
Okay.
The best sign is if I'm in a good mood, then everything is okay. If you start to get grumpy and mood swings, you know, these are the simple, or the sleeping disorders, or the appetite, which is up and down, and temperature regulation is not okay. There are a lot of little signs that show you that the balance, you are moving out of balance. As an athlete, you know that. This is like the symptoms of overtraining. The beginning of overtraining are mood swings, and you are motivation goes down, and all these signs people want to ignore. But this is, and you will not be able to measure anything. This is just by self-awareness.
Exactly.
And then you have to try to find out what is the best way for you to get back to balance. Because I am a person who tends to overdo things. I tend to exaggerate. So therefore, I also have a long story of injuries and whatsoever. And doing stupid things that I probably shouldn't have done. So, but I think these are the first signs I try to, when I talk with patients and, you know, about the problem, because doctors don't talk with patients like this. They are easy cues you can tune if you have guidance, because the body awareness of many people is very bad.
And there I think that being an athlete helps a lot, because the body awareness and the alertness for changes and signs is just so much higher. So you develop that along the years, and it's a process that keeps on going. You discover every time something new, and you get to the point of really being very well aware of your body, and also in the place of being able to express that to someone else. And sometimes it's really weird that doctors even don't want to know.
Exactly.
Oh, no, stop talking. We don't want to know more.
Yeah. But you know what? I was astonished that I also know a lot of athletes who have no clue about their body. I mean, simple biomechanics, what little things, little imbalances can cause, what kind of injuries, pain, and whatsoever can happen, and what it means to eat proper food. How many people stuff themselves with gels and bars and sports drinks, and then how many athletes, if they are older, and it starts around 45 to 50, that they start to have hypertension, heart issues, and diabetes, and this is a quite broad phenomenon, unfortunately. Only it's not politically correct to talk about it, because sport is meant to be an example for people how to live and how to do things to stay fit and well. And it is not like this. And this was, I was astonished when I started to work with triathletes beginning in 2002. And I myself, I did sport, but I was not thinking about it. I didn't reflect how the connection and thing. And I started to put the puzzle together with my medical experience in intensive care unit, and then all the different departments and sports and whatsoever, and got more and more into these, to try to understand what's going on in a body. To think more about physiology than about pathophysiology.
Yeah. Maybe it's because indeed I'm brainy. I'm a brainy person.
Yeah, you're an exception, you know.
I'm an engineer, and so every time I think, well, you know, we, especially as triathletes, we keep on repeating the same movements. So I associate it directly with, you know, a turbine at work. If it does just imbalance a bit, it's going to be disaster, because it goes on the same pattern so many times that the degradation is going to go really fast. So the balance in there is so important. I remember my first trainer, he said to me, you know, to be in an Ironman, you don't need to be strong, but you need to be perfectly balanced. And
that's it. And regulation, so I always say, you know, even the toilet is a regulatory system. If you don't understand this, but when it comes to biology, suddenly nobody wants to understand regulation anymore. But if you are in an engineering situation, or machines or whatsoever, it's always about regulation. It is not, and therefore this old metaphor of cause and effect of Newton, it doesn't apply, it doesn't work like this. And I always say, if it comes to the body, please don't ask why, ask how. We don't have an answer, and we don't have one answer. There is never one reason for something. And to find out for yourself what it means to be in balance is a complex thing. And not just, and if somebody asks me, you know, why is it iron, or is it zinc, or is it blah? It's complete nonsense like this.
No, agree with that. It's never just one thing, you know, it's the combination that can bring you in balance in one spot, or a different combination can bring you in balance in another spot.
And it's always like I say, even if you are in a situation where you have a chronic illness, you can be in a situation of balance and feel well, if you know how to do it and how to accept it. So this is a very relative thing. It has not only to do with being the fittest, being the strongest, being the most beautiful one and whatsoever, the most intelligent one, but to have this awareness and to know how to tune yourself in, because this nobody can actually help you. You can give somebody an idea, but you have to go on this path of trial and error and be ready to look into your eyes, and face yourself and be critical and make the adjustments. If you don't want to change, I always say, okay, if you don't want to change, it's your problem. Then do whatever you think, but don't ask me. No. I'm not the right person. I'm not a preacher man, preacher woman. I just tell you my experiences, and in my age, one has already a lot of experiences, funnily enough. Well, how are you over there?
But it's nice what you say about the tune, and you remember that one of the slogan for BIESTMILCH was "Immune is my tune."
Exactly.
It's actually the one on
yes,
the back
it's this one. I realized immediately that you have still one of those.
Yeah, of course. I kept it very nicely, and
mine are all gone. They are all. They just by time they dissolved. We should talk about how we could work closer together. And it's still, for me, it's still like this.
Yeah, I really like that.
It's simple. It's so simple. And you can have easy tricks to find out whether you are in balance or not. And even if you are trying to stand on one foot and see whether you turn like this, then you see, okay, I have a problem.
Yeah.
Like this, simple for kids to learn, to get to know their body, or also a lot of old people. I mean, if you do stretching and things like this regularly you don't need a prosthesis of your hip or your knee. If you are perfectly balanced, and this is only the bones and the joints, if this is okay, you will never need an operation.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
But if you are stiff and have all kind of imbalances, just to take this simple picture and you see them outside running it's an exception to the rule if you find somebody walking straight without this and with a smile and everything like this, this.
Yeah.
Charisma is a whole body phenomenon. And I don't differentiate between this one and my body because it's one. It belongs.
Agree on that. Yeah. Yes. I think that is also sometimes the paradox. People say, oh, it's your mind and your body, but it is one thing. And one thing that I can feel is that, the spirit, I always figure it like, oh, my spirit remains most of the time in the Alps. And when I'm living here, my spirit is there and I'm here. So, and I can feel that there is this disconnection, because I miss those places so much. And when I am back, I have this, feeling like, whoa, I get filled in all of the places with my spirit, which of course fits me perfectly, and it's fantastic. It's like having an extra strength in my body.
It's a real boost like this. Yeah.
It's absolutely a boost.
I think all people who are able to make these experiences are really lucky persons, because most of the people if I observe the life around me, they don't know even what it means to feel well. They are in a situation that they are used to this feeling, and they don't know that there is another way of optimizing yourself or changing. They are not, and this is very sad. And those people need to go to a psychiatrist, and they need to go to the doctor every other day, and they have no idea what to do with them.
You need a lot of courage to change. So myself, I know that I would feel much better in the mountains, and that is where I'm attracted. So it's really like a magnet, because of course myself wants to get back with my spirit. But at the same time, I'm still stuck here, working here.
Is there no option for you to change, to move?
I'm thinking about that, and I'm thinking about that seriously more and more, probably because of age.
Yeah.
And probably also because of the positive effect of the pandemic.
In case, please, don't forget to like or dislike or comment on our conversation, which is a quite complex one, and give us your inspirations. And if you like, talk with us. Just let us know. We are happy to take you on board because we need many voices. One voice is simply not good enough. Okay? This was Eye on Air. My life, just my life.